Blue Exorcist is one of the best manga ongoing right now. No contest, there are a lot of great manga, but Blue Exorcist is a great one. And unfortunately, nobody is talking about it. And I think I have an idea as to why in this video. And I'm fairly certain Blue Exorcist fans will probably agree with what I have to say here. And to those of you who have not seen or read Blue Exorcist, or those of you who have only watched like the first season of the anime and are curious as to what's going on with Blue Exorcist now, stay tuned because I'm going to get into my reasonings for why no one is talking about the series, and why you should also get hyped for the series as well. But before all that, only 26% of the people who are watching my videos on this channel are subscribed, which, if you're already watching my videos, why not subscribe, like the video, and hit the notification bell to be updated on future videos, because then you can watch my videos whenever I go live, and you won't have to search me consistently whenever you want to look up a series that I am covering, or just by random happenstance. It'd be very much appreciated, and it shows you guys like the content I make on this channel enough for me to make even more of this content. But without further ado, let's get into the video. Now, I did a video similar to this on World Trigger, like over a year ago, on why is nobody talking about World Trigger. But this one's going to be different, because instead of me recommending the series in detail like I did with World Trigger, I'm just going to go over briefly why I think Blue Exorcist isn't being talked about in the mainstream anime manga community, and how it can actually break into the mainstream, or at least be in the general conversations again. Because on Twitter and YouTube, and even Instagram and TikTok, I don't see Blue Exorcist brought up at all. It could be how my feed works, but from what I see from like major trending stuff going on, Blue Exorcist is never brought into the conversation at all, same with some other monthly manga. And this is a problem with a lot of monthly manga, unless you're like Boruto, or Dragon Ball Super, or Attack on Titan, or related to some larger big shonen series, or have a massively, really well done anime adaptation. Which goes into the first reason why nobody is talking about Blue Exorcist. It's already existing anime adaptation that seems to be kind of done for the moment. So let's go over the anime. The first season of the anime came out April 17th, 2011 and ended October 2nd, 2011. Which, the first half of that season is canon. The first half of season 1 was canon, and the rest of it was filler and an anime original arc that took up the rest of the season. There were some decent enough ideas in this, and one of which was actually close enough to the manga, but not that great, due to how the manga portrayed things. A hell of a lot better, made more sense, more build-up, and actual good writing in terms of like stuff with backstory with Rin and Yukio and how they were born. But this isn't a comparison video for the most part. So what I'm getting at is that a lot of people originally thought in the ending of 2011 that Blue Exorcist was done. And that's how a lot of anime-onlys tend to be. And not a lot of anime-onlys were also manga readers, because they were anime-onlys. So no one really thought to check out the manga to see if there was anything changed or not, because at that point, what was out, and that's what most of us watched. I know that's what it was like for me, and a lot of anime fans, until more stuff came out on Crunchyroll, and eventually, we ended up getting a Season 2 in 2017, 6 years later. Before I get into that, Blue Exorcist, overall, consistency-wise, in terms of animation and art style, was very consistent with its anime. It was done by A1 Pictures in both seasons, and they were done relatively well. And I do have to say this, the animation for a lot of the moments, very good and consistent, like I stated. But it was around the time, in the early 2010s and even mid to late 2000s, where a lot of anime were either getting anime original endings, or were left off on cliffhangers to never really get a Season 2 until many years down the road. And that was a shame, because it's not just manga, but also was some light novels from what I can tell. I hear it happened to Spice and Wolf to an extent. I haven't watched the anime yet, but now we're getting a reboot that's supposedly going to adapt the entirety of the light novel, so I'm excited for that. That's kind of my point. A lot of series, even Soul Eater, which I believe for like 50 or so episodes, 40 episodes, they were adapting the manga, but then they went anime original towards the ending. It was still good, it was still a good anime, but the ending was not that great, or good at all, depending on the fans that you ask. And the manga is complete right now, and I'm currently collecting it so I can read the full series as it was intended in the manga, and people are hoping that there is a reboot for Soul Eater to adapt the entirety of the story. And many of us Blue Exorcist fans want that for Blue Exorcist, because with 6 years between Season 1 and Season 2, that's over half a decade, and people who watched Season 1 would probably assume that Blue Exorcist is done, and if they didn't know there was a manga for Blue Exorcist, or they weren't interested in getting the manga because, the story's done, I don't really care that much, and I want to see and collect the manga of series that are currently ongoing. Like, for instance, the big three, for instance, One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach, as by 2016, Naruto and Bleach were both done. And there were other series like Fairy Tail that were done, and you can't deny that series did numbers and was popular for a good number of years. But that's kind of the thing. With ongoing anime, or if a series was seasonal, the people would know that there was still more material to adapt. Blue Exorcist's first season gave a conclusion to the story, even though it wasn't that great or good. People thought that was it. That's Blue Exorcist, the story is done. Then 2017 happens, and we get the announcement of a new Blue Exorcist season. And people are like, oh, is this a continuation from Season 1 with everything that happened then? How are they going to top the end of that season? The Kyoto saga, the Kyoto arc that covered in Season 2, started from the midway point of Season 1, which confused, for sure, a lot of fans. I know, because at my college, there were some people that were Blue Exorcist fans, and they were confused as to what was going on. And I found out that the manga was still ongoing at that time, because I was confused after watching the first 2 episodes as to what was going on. Is this like material that was skipped? And technically yes, but this is the actual material that should have come after the first half, after the Amaimon fight, which ended with Rin's identity being fully revealed to his classmates and the Knights of the True Cross as a whole. And then we got anime original content. Kyoto continues from that midway point as we go more with Rin. And it's a good story, builds up some characters from the side cast, primarily Bond, who has grown to be one of my all-time favorite characters in this series, and I love the guy so much. And then that ended. But even though that season I think was done relatively well, even to this day, because I rewatched it a little while ago, very consistent, and the pacing was pretty well done. But a lot of people were probably put off by the fact that a good chunk of the first season meant nothing, and now they're going into this other season not knowing if this is going to be canon or not, or if this is just damage control. Chances are people just weren't interested because they were like, the series was done, I don't want to go into this, but I'll give it a try. Got confused and just decided to drop it because there was other stuff airing at the moment. Tie it together with the fact that since it was originally done and not many people read manga at the original pace when Blue Exorcist was coming out with its first season, and in between Season 2, not many people were talking about it because there was all these big up-and-comers in Shonen Jump getting a bunch of popularity. Same with like Weekly Shonen Magazine and Kodansha. So many new series that were weekly, constantly talked about on message forums, websites, Twitter, and even YouTube. People were talking about all these big hits, and not many people were talking about the series that kind of got left in the shadows, like Blue Exorcist. And here's the thing, a part of that, aside from how the anime was treated and handled, was the monthly release schedule. Now, I'm all for authors and artists getting the time they need, and I think Blue Exorcist is a good example of monthly series being consistently good and being given certain aspects of a story where it does not feel dragged out or too rushed. A lot of times it feels fairly well paced with what the author originally intends, and that is a good thing, and I don't mind waiting a month for my manga because I know it's going to be good and I enjoy the story and I cannot wait to see how things progress. But as the years went on, people ended up getting smaller attention spans for the most part. Waiting a month for a series that you aren't entirely sure is going to get another anime for you to rewatch these moments, or the fact that you just can't wait a month for your favorite series to release a new chapter, you end up reading or watching other stuff, and eventually it fades into the background. I wanted to read the Blue Exorcist manga back in 2017. That was when I was first getting into the wider variety of anime on my first Crunchyroll account, and binge watched a bunch of different anime, and slowly got into manga, starting with like One Piece and My Hero Academia. And then I completely forgot about Blue Exorcist till like 2020, when the pandemic happened, and I'm like, oh right, this series is still ongoing. I better read it. I love the anime, and I'm sure I'm gonna love the manga. And sure enough, I loved it. But that's basically a part of the problem too. Aside with the combination of the anime not being given its proper justice and just giving an anime an original conclusion where most people thought it ended for well over a decade, no one really talking about it on the big sites at all, and the manga being monthly where not many people are going to talk about it every single month because other stuff happens in between, and unless it's like super hype with a loud enough fan base, it's not going to break into the mainstream or go over talks about what's going on in One Piece, or Black Clover, My Hero, Jujutsu Kaisen, or even Boruto, which is another monthly manga, but that has to do with also the fact that it has an anime running consistently with a bunch of filler and not adapting a lot of its canon material for the most part until there's enough material to adapt, which also accounts to Boruto's success. Yeah, to be honest, it is successful in Japan. But in Japan, Blue Exorcist is also very successful. It ranks in the top 10, if not top 5 of the Oricon charts, along with One Piece and JJK. It does good numbers, it does good sales. And why is it not talked about outside Japan? It's because people are more prone to going to the next big thing or continuing with what is already currently airing, or getting suggestions by the bigger and wider manga anime community. And a lot of those guys don't really do much with Blue Exorcist, or even talk about it at all, because there's a lot of stuff for them to look into and read and watch to make content, and there's not much time for them to do stuff on their own, for their own enjoyment a lot of the time. So they select what they want to do on their free time, thus resulting in, well, Blue Exorcist, along with a bunch of other really good manga that are most likely monthly, to kind of fade into obscurity and into the background, which is a real shame because a lot of these series are done very well in the terms of art, pacing, and story. Now, you could blame the fan base also for not making a big enough stink, but here's the thing, the Blue Exorcist fan base is actually fairly small compared to a lot of the others from what I've seen, and aren't as vocal as the, unfortunately to say, kind of obnoxious fan base of a lot of the other big, wide shonen series that are out there. On Twitter, on YouTube, on TikTok, Blue Exorcist is hardly if ever talked about, as I stated earlier, and it has to do with the anime, the manga being monthly, and the fact that with so many different series, new manga coming out, or bring on new chapters consistently, weekly for a lot of the bigger titles, them getting new seasons, or if they're weekly ongoing with their animes, they're constantly talked about every single week, and Blue Exorcist being monthly kills the hype for a lot of the time to Blue Exorcist's disadvantage. But there is a strong chance that Blue Exorcist will get a renaissance in terms of a new anime. You see, at the end of 2022, during Jump Festa, Blue Exorcist had a panel where they quickly announced that there was a new Blue Exorcist anime project. Nothing has been stated by this, but there have been links that within the next few days or months or weeks, we will get new Blue Exorcist material and news on this new anime. Now it was stated to be a new anime project, and that's very vague. We don't know if it's a Season 3, continuing from where the Kyoto Saga Season 2 left off, which I think a lot of us hope it's not really the case, because even though us manga fans would love it, it doesn't fix the problem of no new anime fans jumping onto the title once Season 3 is announced, because it's kind of a bit of a challenge or kind of going out of your way to just watch half of a season and jumping onto another one when you have other stuff you want to watch at the exact same time. And so what a lot of us are thinking and hoping for is that this new anime adaptation is a reboot. That Blue Exorcist, and this gets said a lot for a lot of manga that never got properly adapted, the Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood treatment. We want Blue Exorcist to get the Brotherhood treatment so we can adapt the entirety of the manga. The manga is still ongoing, it's monthly, and it's gearing up towards its final arc from what I can tell with how things are set up. It's not been announced yet that it's entering the final arc, but that's how it feels things are going. And it's monthly, so it's going to take its time to properly build up to it. But if this is a full-on reboot of the anime, and what would make it better, if it was seasonal, with 13 episode seasons every year or two, Blue Exorcist, with a good studio, if it's A1 Pictures or some other big studio that can consistently give us good content, we'll get newer anime fans interested in Blue Exorcist. They'll jump on it. They'll probably fall in love with it within the first 3 episodes. Blue Exorcist had a great start with its anime. I have to admit, those first opening chapters, the first opening episodes, were great, and it got you invested. It was emotional, it was tense, it made you fall in love with the characters and want to see where things go, and it made you feel concerned as well. It gave you a bunch of different emotions, and it set up the story properly. So, with a good anime adaptation, with a reboot starting from the very beginning, new anime fans will definitely jump on it, especially since if it comes out between seasons of like JJK and Chainsaw Man and some other supernatural anime, people are going to want to fill that void, and Blue Exorcist is more than capable of doing so, if not being much better, because it is a really good series. I'm not going to say that Blue Exorcist is better than JJK is good, or Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man is good as well. I'm not saying one is better than the other, but I'm saying you will get that supernatural demon slaying action shonen series that you will get from either of these three big ones from Blue Exorcist if it is done for a reboot. And with the amount of material we have in the manga, it's monthly, so a lot of the chapters like 40 to 60 pages, and with there being over 140 chapters at the moment, we have roughly enough material for 4 to 5 13 episode seasons at the very least. Blue Exorcist has a lot of material, and if it's done as a seasonal series in a reboot, it'll go on for a while and people will end up talking about it, to the point where I think by the time the anime catches up to the manga will be almost, or if not finished by that point, if that's the case. And I am praying and hoping that that is the case. But what did you guys think? What's the reason Blue Exorcist is essentially dead in the anime and manga community in terms of discussion, and why no one brings it up? Do you agree with my points about the anime, the manga being monthly and some people having short attention spans, as well as the fact that it just gets drowned out by all the newer series, new hype anime and manga constantly coming out? Leave your thoughts, opinions in the comment section down below. And if you haven't already, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. It really helps. I like doing discussion-based content like this on any series, but if you want to see more Blue Exorcist, definitely let me know. And in the comments, if you like Blue Exorcist, say Satan Slash. Manga fans will know what that is, and I hope anime onlys will get excited for when they eventually get the context for that iconic line at this point for Blue Exorcist. But with all that said and done, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you all have an awesome day.